Ladies and gentlemen, sure, here's an intro for your motivational speech. Wake up. It's time to change your life. Written in a bold, emotional, and high-impact Jessica style, tone direct, powerful, and unapologetically real. Wake up. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. You've been sleeping on your potential, numbing your pain with distractions, making excuses instead of making moves. But deep down, you feel it, don't you? That restless fire inside you. That voice screaming, "This is not the life I was meant to live." Let's stop pretending, stop lying to ourselves. You're not stuck. You're just scared. You're not lost. You've just forgotten who you are. This isn't a speech. It's a wake-up call, not to motivate you for 5 minutes, but to shake your soul awake, because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. You've got to rise. You've got to fight. You've got to change your damn life. Your comfort zone is your coffin. If it doesn't challenge you, it's killing you. That's the hard truth nobody wants to admit. Comfort feels good. It feels warm. It feels safe. But safety is not growth. Safety is not transformation. Safety is a silent killer dressed as peace. People stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and routines that numb their soul, all in the name of comfort. They say, "At least I know what to expect." But what they're really saying is, "I'm too afraid to find out what I'm truly capable of." The comfort zone doesn't just hold you back, it buries you alive. Slowly, quietly, without you even realizing it, until one day you wake up and realize you're no longer living, you're just existing. Every dream you've ever had, it lives outside that comfort zone. Every breakthrough, every success, every piece of the life you're meant to build, it's waiting for you on the other side of fear. And that fear is the guard dog of your comfort zone. It barks loud. It warns you not to step outside. It feeds you thoughts like you're not ready, you're not good enough, you'll fail. But fear doesn't mean stop, it means go anyway. Fear is not the problem, staying still is. You don't grow by repeating what you've already mastered. You grow by stepping into the unknown and letting it shape you. You grow by facing resistance and pushing back harder. Growth happens in the dark, in the moments where you feel lost, confused, uncertain. But that's where your power is born. Not when it's easy, but when it's terrifying. Not when you're comfortable, but when you're shaking and sweating and doing it anyway. That's the version of you that's waiting to be unlocked. But it doesn't get unlocked by playing small. It doesn't get unlocked by playing it safe. Most people don't want change, they want familiar pain. Because even though it hurts, at least it's predictable. That's why people stay stuck. That's why people repeat patterns. That's why people sabotage their growth the second it starts getting uncomfortable. Because discomfort exposes them. It shows them who they really are. And some people are more afraid of confronting that truth than they are of living a mediocre life. They'd rather stay asleep in comfort than wake up in chaos. But chaos is where transformation begins. When you live inside your comfort zone, your dreams die quietly. You start telling yourself lies like, maybe this is good enough. Maybe I wasn't meant for more. Maybe I should just settle. No, you were not born to settle. You were born to rise, but rising hurts. Rising requires sacrifice. Rising means walking away from the known and choosing the unknown, not because it's easy, but because your soul demands it. Your destiny doesn't live where it's cozy. It lives where it's uncomfortable, where it's uncertain, where it's wild. The coffin of comfort disguises itself as success. It tells you to stay still, stay safe, stay where it's manageable, but slowly it buries your passion. It buries your ambition, it buries your identity, and before you know it, you're just a shadow of who you were meant to become. You feel it every day, that low hum of dissatisfaction, that quiet ache in your chest, that whisper that says there's more to you than this, and it's right. But nothing changes until you do. Nothing shifts until you step outside the line you've drawn around yourself. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to let go of certainty. You have to be willing to look foolish, fall, get back up, and do it again. Because anything less is spiritual suicide. Anything less is slow decay. Anything less is a life wasted. You're not tired. You're uninspired. Ignite your purpose or stay asleep. Most people confuse exhaustion with emptiness. They drag their bodies through the day thinking they're just tired, blaming work, life, or responsibilities. But deep down, it's not their body that's tired. It's their soul that's starving, starving for meaning, starving for challenge, starving for something real. You scroll, you distract, you numb, but nothing hits because your life is missing fire. You're not burnt out because you're doing too much, you're burnt out because you're doing too little of what sets your heart on fire. And when your days feel like repetition instead of evolution, when you wake up already wanting the day to be over, that's not exhaustion, that's a lack of connection to your purpose. Purpose isn't some magical thing you stumble upon one day. It's something you build, it's something you fight for, it's something that shows up when you show up. But most people are too busy surviving to start living. They wake up, go through the motions, do what's expected, then crash into bed hoping tomorrow feels different. But nothing changes when you keep hitting snooze on your calling. If you don't take control of your direction, life will choose one for you, and it won't be the one your soul needs. It will be the one that keeps you busy, comfortable, and asleep. Inspiration is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Humans are wired to chase meaning, to pursue growth, to create impact. When that drive is ignored, you don't just slow down, you shrink, you get bitter. You settle, you become a ghost inside your own life, and the worst part, you start to normalize it. You convince yourself that everyone feels this way, that dreams are for other people, that passion is unrealistic. That purpose is a myth, but it's not, it's real. It's just buried under the weight of distractions, fears, and false stories you've been told about what's possible. The people you admire, the ones who walk with fire in their eyes, who seem unstoppable, they're not more talented than you. They're not lucky, they just refused to sleepwalk through life. They decided they weren't going to accept a life of dull routines and silent misery. They demanded more from themselves, and that demand ignited their purpose. You don't need a roadmap, you need a reason so strong it drags you out of bed, a reason so deep it makes discomfort feel like fuel, a reason that makes quitting impossible because the cost of staying the same is too damn high. You want energy, find a mission. You want motivation, start moving. Inspiration isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. It shows up when you take action, not when you sit and hope. The reason you feel so heavy isn't because you're weak, it's because your soul is suffocating under the weight of unlived potential. You've been putting off your dreams like there's a guarantee of more time. But every moment you stay disconnected from what you were meant to do is a moment of life you don't get back. You don't need more sleep, you need to wake up. You don't need more rest, you need more alignment. The kind of alignment that makes hard work feel worth it. The kind of purpose that makes you forget to check the clock. The kind of vision that scares you a little and excites you a lot. Because without that vision, you're just drifting. And drift leads to decay. You think you're resting, but you're actually rusting. You think you're playing it safe, but you're slowly dying inside. Your body doesn't crave ease, it craves impact. Your mind doesn't crave silence, it craves direction. Your spirit doesn't crave security, it craves freedom. And freedom only comes when you stop hiding behind fatigue and start feeding your fire. Excuses are lies you sell yourself to feel safe in failure. They're the stories you create, not because they're true, but because they're comforting, because they protect your ego, because they let you off the hook. Every time you say, I can't, I'm not ready, I don't have time, what you're really saying is, I'm afraid to try and come up short. So instead of facing that fear head on, you wrap it in a blanket of excuses and call it logic. But deep down, you know it's not logic. It's fear dressed up as wisdom. It's a false shield, not armor, and it's keeping you small. Excuses give you permission to stay in the same place while pretending you're doing your best. They're seductive, they feel rational, they sound like self-protection, but they're actually self-sabotage. You're not fooling anyone but yourself. Every goal you didn't hit, every habit you didn't build, every dream you didn't chase, trace it back, and you'll find an excuse sitting right there, whispering in your ear, telling you why it's okay to stop. And the more you listen, the more you believe it. The more you believe it, the more powerless you feel. You give your control away, not to circumstance, but to your own imagination. People spend more energy crafting excuses than they do taking action. They research reasons why it won't work. They rehearse failure before they even begin. They prepare for disappointment instead of preparing for battle, because failure hurts, it stings, it bruises the ego. But excuses, they're numb, they're easy. They let you sleep at night, but not in peace, just in denial. And the worst part is, excuses grow. Once you start leaning on one, they multiply. I'm too tired turns into I'll start next week. I don't know how turns into it's just not meant for me. And suddenly, years go by and nothing has changed except your list of reasons. Excuses become habits. They become your identity. You go from I missed the gym today to I'm just not a gym person. You go from I messed up to I'm just not disciplined. And now the lie is no longer just what you say, it's who you believe you are. But it's not the truth. It's just a mask, a barrier, a wall between the life you want and the life you settle for. Every time you choose the excuse, you reinforce the version of you that gives up. Every time you choose action, even when it's messy, even when it's small, you reinforce the version of you that rises. The life you want is not waiting behind comfort, it's waiting behind courage. And courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you stopped letting fear write your script, because excuses are loud, but so is your potential, and right now only one of them is winning. Your future depends on which one you choose to listen to. You can make excuses or you can make progress. You can't do both. That voice in your head saying I can't, that's not your voice, that's your fear talking, and fear will always lie to keep you safe, even if it means keeping you stuck. No one owes you belief, no one owes you motivation, no one owes you chances. It's on you to kill the excuses before they kill your ambition, before they bury your confidence, before they silence your drive. It's on you to call yourself out, to say, this isn't the truth, it's a story I made up to avoid risk. You think failure is the enemy, but it's not. It teaches, it builds, it grows. Excuses don't. Excuses just steal. They steal time, they steal energy, and they steal opportunity. You don't need more time, more luck, or more support. You need less excuses, because when you cut the lies, the truth becomes clear. You've always had what it takes. Pain is not your enemy, it's your alarm clock to greatness. Most people run from pain like it's poison, as if feeling broken, hurt, or uncomfortable means something is wrong. But pain is not the problem. Pain is the signal, pain is the messenger. It shows up to wake you up, to shake you out of your sleep, to remind you that you're still alive, still capable, still evolving. The problem isn't that you feel pain. The problem is you try to silence it, numb it, escape it instead of asking what it's trying to teach you. Every painful moment you've been through didn't show up to break you, it showed up to build you. Growth never happens in the easy. No one becomes strong when everything's soft. No one finds purpose when everything's perfect. It's the struggle that shapes you. It's the hard seasons that teach you who you are. But the world has taught you that pain is to be avoided, that the goal is comfort, convenience, ease, that if you're hurting, something is wrong. But pain is proof that you're pushing past your limits. It's proof that you're not numb. It's proof that there's something more inside you that hasn't been unlocked yet. The pain you're trying to avoid might be the exact path to the power you've been looking for. Think back on every breakthrough moment in your life. Did any of them come wrapped in comfort? No. They came after a storm, after heartbreak, after failure, after rejection, after disappointment, and yet, those are the moments that built you. That shaped your fire, that forced you to find strength you didn't know you had. Pain strips away the noise. It makes you look in the mirror and ask hard questions. It removes what's fake and shows you what's real. That's why it's a gift, even when it doesn't feel like it. The pain that brings awareness is more valuable than the pleasure that keeps you blind. People are so afraid of feeling that they stay stuck in numb cycles. They keep busy, they distract, they scroll, they overwork. They avoid silence because they're afraid of what they might hear. But silence is where pain speaks the loudest, and if you listen, it will guide you. Your pain knows where you've compromised. It knows where you've stayed too long. It knows when you've been lying to yourself. It's trying to protect you, not punish you, but most people treat it like a curse. They beg for it to go away instead of sitting with it and learning from it. The world tells you to stay positive. to move on, to get over it. But healing doesn't happen by ignoring pain. Healing happens when you understand it. When you let it break you open instead of shut you down. That heartbreak you thought would destroy you, it showed you your capacity to love. That failure that humiliated you, it taught you what matters. That loss that wrecked you, it gave you perspective, depth, resilience. Pain isn't meant to be permanent, but it is meant to transform you. And if you skip that process, you skip the strength that comes from it. You can't avoid pain in this life, but you can choose what to do with it. You can let it harden you or humble you. You can let it define you or refine you. You can let it be the reason you give up or the reason you go harder. Every champion, every leader, every warrior you look up to has one thing in common. They stopped running from pain and started using it. They let it fuel their purpose. They let it sharpen their focus. They turned their wounds into wisdom, and they understood that avoiding pain is avoiding power, because the path to greatness is carved through discomfort, and every scar is a reminder that they didn't just survive, they evolved. Discipline isn't punishment, it's the highest form of self-respect. It's not about restriction, it's about alignment. It's not about saying no to everything, it's about saying yes to what actually matters. The world has twisted discipline into something negative, something heavy, something miserable. But discipline is freedom. Discipline is clarity. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. It's the proof that you care enough about your future to act in the present, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, even when quitting would be easier. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build self-trust. And self-trust is the root of confidence. The reason most people feel lost isn't because they don't have goals. It's because they keep breaking their word to themselves. They say they'll wake up early, but they snooze. They say they'll eat better, but they cave. They say they'll work out, but they scroll. And every broken promise chips away at their identity, until eventually they stop believing in their own potential. They think they're weak, unmotivated, lazy, but they're not. They just haven't learned how to lead themselves with love and discipline. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's making choices that honor your future, not just your feelings. And no, it's not always fun, but it's always worth it, because the pain of discipline is temporary, the pain of regret that lasts. Regret will haunt you in ways discomfort never could. Regret doesn't just remind you of what you lost. It reminds you of what you could have had if you just stayed committed. That's the weight people carry when they don't respect themselves enough to follow through. And it doesn't come from lack of potential. It comes from lack of discipline. Most people are motivated by emotion. They do what feels good in the moment, but emotion is unstable. It changes with the weather, with the day, with your mood. Discipline is not emotional. It's foundational. It kicks in when motivation dies. It keeps moving when inspiration fades. It's not a switch you flip. It's a muscle you build, and you build it through repetition. Through early mornings, through lonely nights, through saying no to the easy path again and again, because you know the real path is waiting on the other side of effort. You don't need more motivation. You need more structure. You need standards. You need rituals. Discipline is built in the boring. It's built in the decisions no one claps for. It's built when you say no to the party and yes to your priorities. It's built when you turn off the noise and choose your craft. It's built when you rise before the world wakes and work while they rest. That's where greatness grows. In the quiet, in the unseen, in the hours no one talks about, but everyone envies the results of. The lie people tell themselves is that discipline is harsh. But the truth is, the undisciplined life is brutal. It's chaotic. It's full of stress, self-doubt, guilt, and constant starting over. Discipline, on the other hand, creates order. It creates flow. It gives your mind peace because you know you're doing what needs to be done. It silences the internal war between desire and duty because you've trained yourself to choose purpose over impulse. If you want to feel proud, grounded, focused, and powerful, you don't need a new life. You need to master the one you've got, and that begins with discipline. Discipline says, I deserve more. Discipline says, my future matters. Discipline says, I'm not settling for who I've been. When you move with discipline, you stop waiting for the right time and start creating it. You stop needing permission and start claiming ownership. You stop being controlled by habits and start becoming the one who sets the standard. That's self-respect in action. That's how you show the world and yourself that you're serious about your life. Change doesn't begin when life gets easier. It begins when you get stronger. Waiting for perfect conditions is just another way to procrastinate. There will never be a moment when everything lines up, when fear disappears, when certainty appears and gives you the green light. Growth doesn't wait for your convenience. Life is not going to hand you the ideal situation wrapped in comfort and clarity. Change is messy, uncomfortable, unpredictable, and that's why most people avoid it. They don't resist change because it's hard. They resist it because it demands a version of them they haven't stepped into yet. Transformation is not a light switch. It's a decision made over and over again. It's the decision to show up differently, even when no one notices. It's the decision to rewrite your habits, challenge your beliefs, and rebuild your identity piece by piece. And the reason most people stay stuck is because they want change without cost. They want the body without the discipline, the success without the sacrifice, the breakthrough without the breakdown. But growth always comes with a price, and that price is discomfort, vulnerability, failure, risk, and repetition. The question isn't if you can change. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? People often say they feel stuck, but stuck is a story. Stuck is choosing familiarity over growth. Stuck is the mind clinging to the past because the future feels too uncertain. But the truth is, you're not stuck. You're scared. And that fear is a signal, not a stop sign. It's the proof that you're standing on the edge of something that matters. Change threatens your comfort, but it also reveals your capacity. It pulls you away from who you were and forces you to face who you could become. That's where real change starts. Not with information, not with inspiration, but with confrontation. You have to face the parts of yourself you've avoided, the habits you've justified, the excuses you've protected. There's a version of you on the other side of change who is more focused, more fearless, more powerful. But you'll never meet them if you keep choosing temporary comfort over long-term growth. Comfort is seductive. It promises safety, but delivers stagnation. It feels good now, but costs you later. And most people would rather cope in the familiar than risk in the unknown. But nothing great comes from staying the same. The life you're dreaming about is already waiting, but it's waiting for you to stop tiptoeing and start stepping fully into the process. Change demands that you move differently before life looks different. It asks for action, not just intention. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, make all the plans, but nothing changes until you do, and that change won't feel natural at first. It will feel awkward. It will feel like failure. It will feel like starting over. But starting over is not a weakness. It's a strength. It means you haven't given up. It means you still believe there's more for you, and belief is where the shift begins. You don't need a complete reinvention overnight. What you need is momentum. Tiny steps repeated with discipline create unstoppable momentum. A small shift in how you wake up. A small shift in how you respond to stress. A small shift in how you use your time. These small changes become the structure for massive transformation. Most people underestimate the compound power of daily effort. They chase big breakthroughs and ignore the small wins. But change is not an explosion, it's a pattern. A pattern of courage, a pattern of action, a pattern of self-leadership. There's no magical moment coming where you'll suddenly be ready. You become ready by moving. You become strong by stretching. You become new by releasing the old. Change isn't waiting for someone else to rescue you, inspire you, or fix you. It's waiting for you to remember who you are, reclaim your power, and rewrite the story you've been telling yourself. Because the gap between the life you have and the life you want isn't time, money, or talent. It's your willingness to change anyway, despite the fear, despite the failure, despite not having it all figured out.